One of the most frequently asked questions is if you can and should train every day. Often people think that more training gives you improvement. If people to take rest for some days, they often think they will lose their power and progress. In addition to that, lots of people feel great when working out, so they want to have that feeling as often as possible. This exactly is a problem, and in today's video we are going to talk about this. So guys, अगर आपने अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो मेक श्योर यू हैव क्लिक द सब्सक्राइब बटन। तो चलिए आज की वीडियो शुरू करते हैं। द ह्यूमन बॉडी इज़ नो मशीन एंड इट गेट्स स्ट्रॉन्गर ड्यूरिंग रेस्ट टाइम, नॉट वाइल ट्रेनिंग. Not only muscle need rest and time to regeneration to adapt, but also our joints, ligament, tissues and central nervous system need some more time to regenerate and adaptation. But how do we have to train to get the most of it without overloading the body? Well, there are no general answer to this question because there are so many different possibilities and methods to design a training and so many different goals to achieve with trainings. That's why we have made small overview of the parameters you should have to consider when you are choosing the right amount of training session. The first is the frequency. The frequency tell you how often you train over a specific time. The volume is about how many sets and exercise you do in total. The intensity, a common mistake is that people think intensity tell you how hard you train and if you exhaust yourself or not, but the intensity is the value of the resistance of your muscle have to deal with, which is expressed only in breath and specific amount of maximum repetition each with specific name. So if you are able to do 3 pull-ups for example, the intensity will be very high, and if you can do 20 pull-ups then your intensity is very much low. Fourth is the fatigue. This is the point about how hard you train and if you get the personal limits like the total muscle fatigue or not. Now there are 2 other points that are non-training parameters directly, but they have big influence when it comes to the choice of how often you should train. One factor is if you split your training a whole body workout, and of course the last factor is you. Everyone is unique and react different at training stimulus. There are several reasons for that like genetics, nutrition, sleeping behavior, activities beside working out, each other movement or your performance. To explain all of this bit details, I will show you some few examples with those parameters. For this, we want to include the points you can assume that are always talk about the same person. Example 1, in both we train very often with the moderate volume and high intensity. We have high workload in amount of every set and training until the muscle fatigue. In example 1.1, we train splits. In 1.2, a whole body workout. When we train each muscles every day with the same exercise and high intensity until muscle failure, our body is much more stressed than if training in splits to push, pull and leg for example. But also in a split, you should be careful. When you split, your central nervous system have to work very hard and your ligaments, tendons and joints get stressed a lot. In example 2, everything stays same except fatigue. In 2.2, we train until the muscle failure. This led to the high need of regeneration than in 2.1 where we avoid total fatigue. Only this one point can make huge difference even if all other parameters stays the same. A training without muscle failure and high frequency is very good when you want to train your technically demanding elements that you didn't master yet. A freehand handstand or other complex techniques are good example for that. Better you practice very often but don't go anywhere near to your limits. In example 3, we no changes intensity and volume. With the high intensity, which means the working with high resistance and high volume, your body will need much more time to regenerate than with low intensity volume. And there is thousands of other possibilities. With those examples, you should have to recognize that there is no general answer to this question of how often you should train because there are so many other factors that influence it. So people know eventually how much they want to train and when they want to get rest. You might have the ability when you do have lots of experience. So keep in mind to design or look for a plan which fits to your level and your goals. Don't just copy another's plan. For further question, just leave a comment. So guys, if you like the video, press the thumbs up. अगर आपको ये वीडियो अच्छी लगी तो सबको शेयर कीजिए, और अगर आप मेरे चैनल में न्यू हैं तो सब्सक्राइब कीजिए। तब तक के लिए स्टे फिट, स्टे हेल्दी, बाय बाय।